Hey there, Internet. Our Felix Finch here, and you know what? We're in lockdown here in the US. It's been an interesting time for the wrestling world, but you know what? We're not the only people in lockdown. So, once again, I have traveled across the land searching far and wide. Find YouTubers that understand the power that is staying inside. So, coming to us today, live from Moscow, Russia, we have the one, the only, Russia's best and perhaps only wrestling YouTuber, my friend Xenia from XeniaDidThat. Xenia, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey everyone, we're also in lockdown, but we're trying to keep positive and to entertain you guys in the process. So I'm glad to be here.
You know, I'm happy to have you. A year ago, we actually met over for Double or Nothing. In better times, perhaps you'd be over here once again. But
Yeah, I wish.
but yeah, and Tom, hello, welcome to the chat. And throughout this, if you have any questions for Xenia, throw them in the chat. I'll read them at times. But Tom, glad to have you here. It's a Yeah, it is. It's been very interesting. But you said you normally telecommute anyway, so it hasn't been. I'm hoping, at least as far as work wise, this hasn't been too much of a shift for you.
Yeah, no. I feel like during lockdown we've just completely like switched to talking to people only on the internet, and it's like our new reality now. I think when I see a person who is not my boyfriend face to face next time, I'll like freak out.
Uh, but no, it's wonderful to have you. Moscow, like Russia, is interesting to me because I didn't even know that was a market served by WWE or was it even served by WWF back in the day? Tell us how your wrestling fandom started because I do not know your story there.
Yeah, and you're actually right. Like Russia hasn't been market served by WWE for the longest time, and it's only recently that they started even paying attention to us. But that's like, I digress because I started watching wrestling even outside of Russia. Like my mom had work in England, and I just accidentally saw it on TV, WWE that is, and I got so hooked, and I became a fan right away. And I was like 11 at the time, but yeah, uh, a little later they started showing WWE on Russian television, but it was presented more as like a humorous, like, something just to like laugh at, and it had Russian commentary that was very like sarcastic and like ridiculous in every single way. And then WWE had completely disappeared from Russian TV. But then they decided to come here. They toured here. They did two shows in Moscow, in I think 2012 and 2011, or 2013, something like that. And now, just recently, just um, last year, I think they started showing WWE on Russian television again, and that was again also with the help of IWF Russia, the local wrestling federation, because they don't really like work together, but people from IWF Russia have helped bring WWE back to Russian television. So it's been a journey, but I feel like now, out of all times, is when WWE is marketing towards Russia more than ever, as ridiculous as it sounds.
No, it doesn't sound ridiculous because I was kind of curious about that because in the 80s and even into the early 90s, Russia was always, the big bad enemy. If you wanted to get a straight-laced American babyface over, put him against Ivan Koloff or Nikita
Yeah.
Khrushchev or any random foreigner here. And during the Cold War, oh, especially, oh, those naughty Ruskies.
Mhm.
We can't have that communism. Granted that hasn't really been a thing for the past 30 years, but this is America. Our education system not the greatest.
No, but it's funny how it kind of came full circle in a way, because like in the recent years the political relationship between Russia and America hasn't been that great, right? And I feel like it's that all over again, because like we are supposed to like be enemies, like, oh, like we hate Americans, Americans hate Russians, which is of course untrue on the level of like personal contacts, I guess you could say. But I feel like with especially like certain Slavic characters in WWE that have appeared in the recent years. I mean, Rusev and Lana, who have also been able to get over as heels because of that. I feel like it's kind of come full circle.
True, which is funny because Rusev is Bulgarian, and
Yeah, yeah, and he doesn't even speak Russian.
yeah, it's like I'm waiting for us to get a Ukrainian and just go, close enough.
I mean, WWE has done that already. What was his name? Vladimir Kozlov. He's actually Ukrainian. So
Okay. Oh, okay. Did not know that. For some reason,
really,
I actually thought Kozlov was a Kazakh.
no. I'm pretty sure he's
Oh,
Ukrainian. I
okay.
think he was like born in Ukraine.
I gotcha. But yeah, Tom even asks, he's like, "How do you feel when they book a wrestler as Russian when they're clearly not?"
I mean, to me, it's funny. I think it's not like tragic or anything. It doesn't offend me because like there are so many times when a wrestler is booked as something that they're not, and it's not like Russians are necessarily an outright oppressed group in the USA or anything like that. So like I don't mind, especially uh, when it comes to like Lana and Rusev. Like I said just now, Lana is actually as I say, kind of Russian. Like she's not Russian. She was born in the USSR, but she speaks Russian as her first language, and she's kind of Russian. So that makes sense.
Yeah, it is interesting to me when it comes to the USSR because when you did mention Kozlov, I was just thinking, I was like, well, to be fair, he might have been Russian when he was born. Like I have a lot of friends like that who were born Russian, but where they are is no longer part
Yeah.
of. It's like they're former Eastern Bloc. So that is again
Yeah.
always an interesting kind of take on it. And I know you guys over in IWF Russia, you have Tim who plays a super
Yeah.
American character.
Yeah, who's booked as American. And there also was a tag team that he was in that the other guy is not in IWF Russia anymore. And they were supposed to be like Americans. So they're like American heels. And at first, like, I mean, of course, now Team like speaks Russian in promos and such things. Like, it's not like that serious. But from the get go, they were supposed to like seriously be booked as Americans. So
Yeah, like I said, one thing I want to do over here is I actually want to start doing a thing where I wear an Adidas sweatsuit. I wear an Adidas sweatsuit, come out, cut promos in Russian, be brother Russia.
oh, I love that. Brother Russia. And I feel like those like classic Slavic dude image is not even more like Russian than it is like maybe again Ukrainian or Polish, I guess. I think it's more often that you see guys like that there than here. But I'm not sure.
It's Slavic. We get
Yeah, it's Slavic.
we get the Slav squats. And let's be honest, how many how many Adidas jumpsuits does does your boyfriend own?
My boyfriend doesn't own any, but I do. I'm the brother Russia in our relationship.
uh, so so yeah, and we mentioned independent wrestling. That's another thing I'm curious about. If you know, or at least as much as you do know, if, with wrestling not being served as a market, how long has IWF Russia kind of been around, and how did independent wrestling kind of take hold in Russia? Because as far as I know, you guys only have IWF and Northern Storm, Moskva and St. Petersburg.
No, we have more actually, but I can only name like three, and then there are like occasional shows. We have IWF Russia, which is the first, the oldest, the biggest. Then we have NSW in St. Petersburg, and then we have NRGW, I think it's called, in Nizhny Novgorod. And then there's like this annual like festival of deathmatch wrestling that's called Slavonic Violence, which is pretty famous like in the deathmatch wrestling community. And every time like there are gifs or like videos that get kind of viral, but it's like all kinds of a mess. It's very dangerous and very like unsafely executed. But yeah, IWF Russia is, as I said, the biggest, the oldest, and like the most prominent one. And it's about 20-ish years old. And I don't think there's like a specific story as to how it came to life, but as far as I know, there was just this like group of people who loved wrestling and who kind of had some experiences wrestling abroad and like seeing shows, and they kind of decided to put it together, and they founded a wrestling school. It started like with the school, and then the federation came to be. So that's kind of the story on the whole.
Okay. Oh, that's like you said. That's kind of interesting. 'Cause I'm like just wondering like how they found out about it. Like, was tape trading big in Moscow? Did they just see it while visiting somewhere else and be like, I want to do that now? Let me figure out how to do that. Or did like just some wrestler end up coming back to Russia?
Actually, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they did that, but as I said, in the like late 90s, the beginning of 2000s, there was WWE on Russian television, though it was ridiculed mostly, but it was there and one could see it. And also, I think New Japan came to Russia with a show somewhere in the 80s or 90s. So like people in Russia, at least some of them, knew about wrestling. Like it was a thing. They didn't know much, but they knew it was something that existed.
Okay, so yeah, because you did mention that, or I'm gonna guess it was presented almost like children's programming.
Yeah, almost like a comedic, like a circus type of thing, you know. And there was this guy who was announcing, who was a commentator, and he is like a TV host, like a comedian, like this kind of dude. And he like made an effort to announce it in the way that would make it feel ridiculous and fake. Like, you know, he would say like, oh, like, did you see that? How did he hit him like that? He would have been dead if he like actually did, and such things, you know.
Ah, gotcha. So he was taking the piss out of it.
Yeah, so it's a shame that like the image and like the reputation of professional wrestling in Russia was kind of purposefully spoiled from the get-go.
Yeah. By the way, I'm going to take a moment to say hi to Jesse there. Jesse's joined us in the chat, saying my
Hi.
darlings. Jesse, another wonderful YouTube content creator, and a TSM dog. With that, what is your opinion on comedy wrestling? I know your favorite wrestler also happens to be a comedian, but how do you
Yeah.
feel about it? How do you feel about comedy wrestling overall?
I personally love comedy wrestling. Like I think I like comedy wrestling better than any of my friends. But like I feel like it should be executed tastefully. I feel like there's a big difference between making wrestling out to be funny and doing funny matches. Like there's a big difference. Like the fact that there could be like one or two comedic matches on the card doesn't mean that people don't take wrestling seriously, doesn't mean that they're trying to ridicule it. Because I feel like with comedy matches, however funny or like unrealistic or ridiculous they may be, they still exist in the realm of assuming that like wrestling is quote unquote real. That like the person who does the comedic beat or like the match kind of does it seriously. Do you know what I mean? Am I making any sense here?
No, I absolutely understand what you mean. It's a difference between having fun and making fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll see Jordan joining us. Hey, Jordan, thank you very much for joining us in here. Now, speaking of that, let's talk about you a little bit. Let's talk about
I
your
love
journey
that.
into creating content for wrestling. Because, as far as I know, you're not a wrestler and you haven't attempted to
No.
become one, but you have done a ton to like raise the profile of wrestling within Russia, and just you're one of the strongest female presences for wrestling online.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. But yeah, I feel like it's one of the most like frequently asked questions that I get. Like, oh, but why don't you want to wrestle? Like, why don't you want to like actually be a wrestler if you love wrestling so much? And actually, there's a Q&A video coming out on my channel like tomorrow, and I addressed it there. But long story short, there are two main reasons. Number one is that I'm horribly unfit, and number two is that I feel like it's important to elevate the media presence around wrestling. Like actually wrestling in the ring inside the squared circle is not the only thing about any sports related industry. And I have a degree in PR and journalism and advertising, and it's a really like important thing for me to do for something that I love so much, which is wrestling. And I feel whenever I talk about like my journey into becoming like a wrestling journalist, so to speak, is like a bit pathetically heartfelt for me because I have this like formal education. I have a bachelor's degree. I have a master's degree in PR and in media. And I've always thought that, okay, like I love wrestling, but it's something that I do on the side. It's something fun. It's something like childish almost. And I still like need a real job. Like, and I've had real jobs and I still have a real job. And I used to work in different companies. I worked at a TV channel, at a news channel, even in Russia. But then after getting my master's degree, I kind of stopped and like took a breather and thought, like, hey, wait, I love wrestling so much and I've loved it for over 10 years. Why don't I at least try and make it into a career? And that was kind of an epiphany for me. So here I am now.
Okay, and we had someone ask, TSM Dog asked, if you were to become a commentator, what wrestling show would you commentate for? And you actually currently do kind of do
Yeah.
commentary. I mean, to be fair, my Russian isn't good enough yet to figure out whether you're translating or whether you're commentating on itself. But the way you speak, it sounds like you're actually like trying to
Yeah.
add your own commentary to it. You do kind of unofficially, totally unofficially, do Russian commentary for AEW Dark.
Yeah, I do. And it's like a public page on VK, which is a Russian social media. And there's this guy who is a pretty experienced Russian wrestling commentator. He did very official commentary for Lucha Underground in Russia as it airs on Russian TV. Actually, like currently, right now, he does commentary for it. And he kind of made this unofficial page where we share, well, translations or more precisely Russian commentary for American wrestling shows that don't mind it, so that Russian people can watch it with the proper commentary if they don't understand English. And I do commentary for AEW Dark, and I love doing it. I love commentating, and also we've had this like idea, or I guess you could say project, where we wanted to do English commentary for IWF Russia, but because of the crisis and because of the lockdown, it's kind of on a hold right now. But I might be involved in that.
Okay, that would be very cool because I would love to see some people get to know about KC or the
Yeah.
locomotive or Anton.
Or Yaroslav Derzhavin.
Yeah, or Anton the Real. I love Anton. Like he just seems like a teddy bear. Like I feel like I can hug him and be happy.
Yeah, like it's funny because he's supposed to be like such like an intimidating like powerhouse, but children and girls just love the hell out of him.
Yeah, like he seems like he could. It seems like he'd be totally gentle. He'd be totally gentle if he wanted to be with you, and it's great. Like I said, I do watch occasionally. Again, my Russian isn't that great, but working on it.
The
But
most important thing is effort. You're doing great.
danke, da. Spasiba.
Спасибо.
I went to German for some reason, but yeah, we that isn't anything because you do currently date somebody who is a wrestler. That's very public. That is very
Yeah.
publicly known. But how have you had to grapple that with the kind of almost the unfortunate perception of women involved with the wrestling business as it goes?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm just like contributing to the problem because like everyone thinks that like if a girl has anything whatsoever to do with wrestling, be it that she's like a fan or be it that she's like a journalist, she's only like doing that to date wrestlers. Like I swear that wasn't my intention. But I feel like it's just that in Russia there aren't many people who are into wrestling. And in the recent years, I've realized that I don't think I would be able to even date a person who doesn't like wrestling. Because like it's such a big part of my life and of what I love and what I do and what I spend a lot of my time like devoted to it. And I feel like dating a wrestler was the only option. I can say.
Yes, at least if you want to if you want to have someone locally, it's that
Yeah.
no that was a important question because like because again, like the feminism is strong with you, which isn't a bad thing at all. Even though I'm sure there are some unfortunate perceptions people have when they hear the word feminism.
Yeah, it's true, especially in Russia, because like America is one thing, and yet in America, some people like feel uneasy when the girl says that she's a feminist and think that feminists are those like men-hating monsters or something. And in Russia, it's even more severe. Like people just, it's often that you can hear like a famous like actress or singer talk about like very like healthy and very feminist ideas in an interview, but then when she's asked whether she's a feminist, she's like, no, like, oh, no way that I'm a feminist, because it's almost like shameful to say that word even. But I feel like the more people decide to be vocal like I do about it, in spite of receiving a lot of criticism and at points bullying about it, the better, because uh, the more people who are like normal people, like functioning members of society, speak up about it, the more it will be normalized, almost, I guess you could say. But yeah, I've received a lot of backlash for being a feminist in the Russian wrestling community. It's not often that people start like an open conflict, but they leave mean comments, they like create anonymous profiles to leave like very rude and like profanity filled comments on my YouTube videos. And it's like, it's ridiculous that even my boyfriend, who is like dating me, who is like I'm of course very openly feminist, he even got like teased for it in the locker rooms. I'm not gonna of course name drop anyone, but it's just ridiculous how unusual it is for people and how they are so unwilling to even try and understand and accept it. So I feel like there's a lot of work to be done still here.
Yeah, no, for sure, it is unfortunate, but hey, the more you acknowledge it, at least I think the better for growth, because it becomes a little less of
Yeah,
a dirty word at that point. It's almost
yeah,
how like
exactly.
half of my people take a certain word to try to re-empower, but we're not going to get into
Yeah,
that. But
unrelated.
we do have a slight deviation, which I'm very curious because this goes into further pop culture here from Tom asking if he can deviate slightly. What do you make of Russia's Eurovision entry, given how much it deviates from the standard style?
This year's entry.
I don't watch Eurovision. I don't.
I mean, I do watch Eurovision, but this year I thought it was canceled. Like, like what happened? I'm not sure, but like I heard the song, I saw the music video, but I don't feel like it's a deviation from a traditional Eurovision style at all, because I feel like it's just the right amount of weird that's expected of a Eurovision song. And I feel like if Eurovision was held in the normal format, this song would become like such a banger, like all of Europe would be singing it, I'm pretty sure. And it's so catchy, like you hate it, but then you find it like stuck in your head for like a week. So yeah.
Please send this to me on like Instagram or
Yeah, yeah,
something,
I
because
will. You should check it out.
I am now very curious what this Eurovision
Yeah,
song
have
is.
you even heard of the band? It's called Little Big. I thought it was pretty like viral and like kind of famous international, you know?
I don't know. Little Big. That's the
Yeah.
like
And it's
is that the English translation of the name, or is that the
no, they are called literally that. Like they're called Little Big.
man, WWE might want to send a C&D with
Yeah.
from Alexa
But
Bliss and Cross.
it's been no, it's been like many years that this band has existed and has been called that. WWE ripped them off. But yeah, they're pretty famous. They've had a couple of like very viral music videos, especially that one they did about North Korea. Like they're pretty brave, I guess you could say.
I'm gonna have to look this up. Yeah, because
Yeah.
Tom is he's a Briton that's in here, so
Uh, okay.
that's why he knows Eurovision. Like I said, I don't know. It's like I have a lot of friends internationally, but that's one thing I haven't caught on. I don't watch American Idol either. So
You're too busy watching wrestling.
yeah. Oh no, yeah. No, that's how I know the days of the week right now during lockdown. It's like what day is it? SmackDown. All right, gotcha. Let's reschedule for whatever day comes between Raw and NXT. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Same here.
Yeah. Thursday, I'm just confused.
Yeah, Thursday is just like this weird like vortex between wrestling.
Yeah, it's like, and we are getting a wrestling themed question here of what your favorite and least favorite belts are. And you know what? I'll let you go all time. Your favorite title belts and least favorite title belts. I'll let you pick from any era you want.
Okay, that's a tough one. I like modern belt designs way better than like old school ones for some reason. But I think my current favorite would be the WWE title, the main WWE title, the black one. And when it first came out, I was kind of not sure. I was kind of on the fence whether I liked it or not because I kind of liked the previous design too. And the previous design was the title that Miz held at some point, who is my favorite wrestler, one of my favorite wrestlers anyway. And I had kind of very fond memories of this title. But now I really like that one. And my least favorite, I don't know. Oh no! I know. I actually have a very strong opinion on that one.
Ooh, I'm
My
curious. Like the way that hit you
Yeah, yeah,
was like
it just hit
it's
me.
like
I
you had
just
it's like you had
remembered it.
repressed the memory of this belt, and
Yeah.
suddenly by being forced to think about it, you now have a renewed vigor about it. So let's.
Like my brain was trying to like protect me from it, but still it resurfaced. The women's AEW title. I hate it so
Really?
much. Yes.
That surprises. I, I I don't hate the women's title. I really like the AEW women's title. However, it does not work on a larger athlete.
Yeah, no, it's
It
terrible.
only looks good on like Riho and Hikaru Shida. On Nyla, it looked like a toy. I'm sure.
It looked like a necklace, like a choker.
Yeah. And Nyla's not even the largest woman on the roster. I can't imagine Awesome Kong holding that belt.
Yeah, I know, like I get it. It's inspired by like vintage, like old school women's titles. Cool, perfect. But it looks horrible. Like it looks horrible on a person. Like the one thing that like irks me, that's like my one of my pet peeves about wrestling is that women's title are often, if not always, smaller than men's titles. Like I hate it. Just the idea of it. And this one is so teeny tiny that it just hurts to look at it. And one thing that I like about IWF Russia, among others, is that their women's title is basically the same size as their main men's title. And while again there are many very petite women in IWF Russia, and at times it does look enormous on them, but I feel like again, I'm sorry, people think that I just like to find ways to talk about sexism. It's not true, but I just have this optic and I just see it where someone else wouldn't. So I feel like making the women's title smaller is yet another like tiny single way to emphasize that women are like weaker or something like that. It
I take it more so as like at least if you look at a lot of if you look at the average heights of the division, which is surprising because like the WWE title at least the WWE's women's titles do look about the same size. I don't know if they are.
No, they are smaller. I think they're smaller.
They are smart. Well, they at least look like they're the same size. They at least put out the same aesthetic as the
Yeah.
men's titles. They don't have like a more slender. They don't have like a slimmer
Yeah.
build to them. But it's
Yeah,
just
but like
the average size. Like if you look at the average size of the roster, I could get that. But yeah, I can see where I do see what you're saying as well.
and like that I love AEW. Like currently it's my like favorite thing to watch in the world of wrestling. I enjoy it very much. But when you see this like gorgeous men's title, it's giant, it's bedazzled, it's heavy, I guess you could say, probably. I don't know, I haven't held it, but it looks heavy. It looks like a unit. And then you have this women's title that's like 1/3 of its size, and that just like looks like a freaking bracelet.
Oh yeah, no, it is definitely has. There's definitely a giant discrepancy between the two. But yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, I do like the design. Like even Impact has gone with a similar design itself,
Yeah.
where the women's title has this really cool, like, kind of a bit slimmer build, but like again, there's something almost elegant about it.
Mm.
But at the same time, the Impact Championship doesn't look just massive. But again, it surprises me that that's the belt you went to.
Yeah, and well, talking about ugly titles, the WWE Divas title was kind of ugly
Oh,
as
the
well.
butterfly.
Yeah, and it was like so like explicitly girly, but still, if you show me like the two side by side, I'd still say that the current AEW title is ugly. I respect the idea behind it. Like it's obviously better in theory, but it just looks so bad.
Well, again,
So
I am shocked. Like you are actually shocking me that that between the AEW Women's Title and the Divas Title, you still choose the AEW Women's Title as looking worse and
I mean, as I said, like for the sake of idea and like intention, I'd pick the AEW title. But just if we're saying just looks wise, you know.
you know, let's talk about some of your favorites and let's talk about why you love them because like I already kind of gave a hint to who your favorite is earlier, but
Yeah.
kind of growing up, what did you look for in wrestlers? Like, what do you find yourself looking for today? Because you're friends with many, or is it you're friends with many? I know that Dolph occasionally replies to you online. Sean Ross
Yeah,
Sapp thinks you're top. You've got 3,000 Twitter followers.
that's not a lot though. Like,
It isn't, but your Instagram like my friends think you're fake.
that's a compliment. Like, I appreciate him saying that. But yeah, like it's weird because, as I said, I started watching wrestling when I was 11, like when I was a child. But Miz has been like in my top 3 favorite wrestlers since then. Like I was a child, like I was a kid who is supposed to prefer like faces and who is supposed to dislike heels, but still my mind for some reason went, hey, this guy is kind of annoying, I like him. And like I feel like that's still the way that I pick my favorite. I think I've offended a lot of people right now. No, but yeah, I like a heel and I like an annoying heel. Like when we discuss wrestling with my boyfriend, who is also an annoying heel, we always say that heels can be like, there are different types of heels basically, and it can be a monster, an evil heel, an angry heel, and an annoying heel. And I like an annoying heel.
Oh, so Vicky Guerrero, you thought must have just been like heaven.
Yeah. Yes, like when she was managing Dolph Ziggler and when she was managing Edge, they were coincidentally my favorite wrestlers at those points in time, and I've always enjoyed her very much.
That's that's pretty great. Now, what other wrestling do you? Because we've talked about AEW, obviously. We talked about
Mhm.
we talked about AEW. We've talked about WWE. What other wrestling do you kind of partake in? Like you're over in Europe. I know, like there's Progress over in Britain. There's WXW out in Germany. There's White Wolf out in Spain, which I hope you've gotten a chance to check out. Like, oh,
I have not.
what else are you consuming as part of your regular wrestling diet?
You need to send me a link to that Spanish Federation because I've never heard of it and I need to check it out ASAP because I'm in Spain pretty often. But yeah, like my primary thing right now is AEW. I try to not miss like episodes. I try to like keep up very closely. WWE would go second. Then of course IWF. I also try to not miss episodes. And those are like the 3 things that I keep up with very closely. Then I try to like sometimes watch GCW and New Japan, but I wouldn't say that I'm like very up to date or that I'm like caught up on the episodes or anything. And then there are some like shows that I would check out just because there's like a match that I want to see or that they're like a wrestler that I want to watch, such as Progress, Riptide, Pro Wrestling Eve. Those I watch like occasionally. But yeah, it's just that it's always like shameful to talk about that because you're like a wrestling fan, especially if you're a wrestling journalist, you're supposed to keep up with everything, but it's impossible because wrestling just takes up so much time, especially like if you take just only WWE, that's like your whole week booked already if you watch every single show. So I try to like keep up with everything here and there, but it's hard.
Yeah, no. Speak within the major ones though. Where do you think has the strongest women's division right now?
I would say out of like the bigger promotions, I would say NXT definitely has the best women's roster right now. And as I said, my like current favorite would be AEW as a promotion to watch. But it's a shame how they still don't seem to have figured out their women's division. Like they have great performers, they have like an amazing roster, but it still feels like they don't quite have an idea of how to like work with it properly. But I feel like the example of like a very good women's division would be NXT definitely.
Yeah, well, one thing I always say with NXT because people are saying like AEW has a better division than NXT. I'm like, I'm like, we could put the talent comparable. Here's the thing though, NXT got a huge head start, like just because of the number of women in wrestling. Like, here's the thing, NXT pretty much got the best except for who didn't want to sign with WWE. Then
Yeah.
Impact got the best of what was left, plus whoever didn't want to sign with plus whoever didn't want to sign with NXT probably went to Impact. And then
Yeah.
it's like you have a couple companies going out. It's like even ROH kind of like took some feelers, but then you got to what was left for AEW, which gives them a chance to build new stars, which is great. Gives them a chance to introduce people to the United States. Like that's why I was looking for the strong Joshi division. I was like, okay, great. Like WWE has a couple, Impact has none. We'll get some strong Joshi wrestling here.
Yeah.
But they're also still having to like build their own stars from the independents after that.
Yeah, but I don't feel like the problem about the AW women's division is that they don't have like enough good wrestlers. I mean, they do, but it's just that in NXT, uh, I feel like women are booked like stronger. Women are more credible in NXT, and that's something that AW has yet to do, has yet to build. So
And I would counter that with, I don't think that they're necessarily booked stronger. They're more present, and
yeah,
their stories
yeah, yeah,
and their
yeah.
stories matter more. We have a mutual. I think we have a mutual friend on Twitter who will wax on about like what AEW is doing and how like the women's division was very strong on Dark, but Dark isn't your primary
Mhm.
product. Like
Yeah.
it's like Dark. Like yeah, Dark was a feature, but you're only featuring like half your women's division, then bring in half independent people there. So
Yeah, and especially during the quarantine, like as me as a person who never misses Dark, because again, I do commentary, an official commentary for AW Dark. Uh, Especially recently during lockdown, I get it because of the circumstance. Like, there's no other way that they could have figured it out. But it feels the show itself. I mean, it feels like a filler show more than ever. Like there's no way that you would like watch it and be excited about results and like root for someone because it's basically just main roster talent like defeating enhancement talent. So it's not a place where you could really like build and like expand and like promote your women's division.
true, and oh yeah, someone else asks, what else beside TSM Dog asks, what else besides anything wrestling related do you do in your free time besides buying creepy face masks? Holy,
Yeah,
I
I
am
love
still
doing
mad
it.
at you for some of those pictures you send me. It's like, no, this isn't cute. This is terrifying.
It might not be cute, but it's for the sake of me being cute later. Because yeah, I'm very fascinated with all kinds of beauty related things. Like I love makeup and I like taking care of my skin in my free time, which is kind of weird. But anyway, I like watching TV shows. Like there's nothing like prominent that I do in my free time that's like my like very like serious hobby that I devote time to because wrestling is that for me. Like I still have a day job even though I work from home, even outside of the lockdown situation. Like I get to sit in my pajama pants, but I still have to work, and that takes time.
Are you wearing pants
So
right now, young lady? Pants check.
I'm wearing leggings. That counts. But yeah, for like streams and videos, I only dress up from the waist up.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like even though I consider wrestling something that's like way more of a hobby, way more than a hobby for me, I still have to do it in my free time mostly.
Yeah, so we were asking, like, what do you think you have any unpopular opinions in wrestling? Like, is there something you think that other people would find controversial?
I feel like I have a plenty of those, and I feel like that's because I look at wrestling somewhat differently. Like, I don't mean to say like I'm not like most girls, I'm not like most people, no, but like I feel like I look at wrestling more as like a very unique type of media other than like a sport. And because of that, I have a very like specific way of how I pick and choose favorite wrestlers. For me, like in-ring ability is not the most important thing about a wrestler. Of course, it's always important, but it's not like the like one most important thing that makes me like or dislike a wrestler. And that's why I kind of dislike certain wrestlers that many people love and praise a lot. And some of them I dislike because of things that they've done on social media or in their personal life, because I do not believe in separating art from the artist. I feel like at the end of the day, by supporting a wrestler, you're still like putting the money into the pocket of a real person behind the character. And if you don't agree with some things that they believe in or that they do, you should support them as a wrestler too. But then there's some wrestlers that I have nothing against, but I just don't get them. Like, I just don't like them. For example, I've never really been a fan of Daniel Bryan. And I know many people freak out when I say that, because like, do I realize that he's a great wrestler? Yes, most definitely, but it just doesn't click. I don't know, it just doesn't connect, it just doesn't work for me. Like, I don't get excited when I watch him.
Okay.
And there are many wrestlers like that for me.
Hey, you're honest about it, and yes, that is quite controversial. Just like one of my controversial opinions, I'll share with you, and the internet may hate me for this. And I thought CM Punk was overrated. I thought CM Punk was even during that whole feud, I was like, you're kind of making the point of why Hunter's right here. It's like
I don't think it's a controversial opinion, but I wouldn't say that it's an unpopular opinion. I think many people think that.
Yeah, but good question from Prince Gmo, one of my friends from the Navy, actually. He wants to know, who are some Russian talents you think could be stars if given the opportunity on a large stage? And guys, by the way, when she's mentioning these talents, check out IWF Russia on YouTube. They're free.
Yeah.
Their show Udar airs is it Monday? I believe.
I think it's Tuesday, I think? I'm not sure.
But yeah, they have a show that comes out on YouTube. You can go back, watch some more, watch plenty of it. Hopefully they get some English going sometime.
Yeah.
Like, even if someone can just like go through the subtitles and like type in some translations, that'd be nice. But yeah, who are some guys, who are some people they should look out for?
Actually, like, there's a lot of people in AWF that are very talented and that could be and will be international stars in the nearest future, I'm sure. My favorites, I would say, in the men's division, of course, Yaroslav Derzhavin, of course, the current Moscow champion and the smartest wrestler in the world. He's great on the mic. He is a great technical wrestler also. And
he needs to buy gear.
He has already. I mean, I bought gear for him. It was my present for him for our like 6-month anniversary. But yeah, he has this gear right now. Do not worry.
okay, because although because like he was just wearing those white tights for a while that were quite revealing.
Yeah, they were. Maybe it's the secret of his popularity.
and if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to Xenia did that on Instagram and just search through the pics. You'll eventually find.
Yeah, like scroll a little down. Yeah.
If you scroll a little down, you'll eventually see what I'm talking about.
Actually, he has merch. He has a Pro Wrestling Tees page that you could maybe leave somewhere in the description. That would be great. And yeah, he's great. Another favorite of mine would be Vladimir Kulakov. He is a pretty experienced wrestler. He's actually one of the first professional wrestlers in Russia ever. and he's amazing. He's so over with the crowd. Everyone loves him, and he's a hardcore wrestler, and he's like fearless in the ring. And actually, he has gone to WXW to like exchange experience there, and he might be big in Europe soon. So you should check him out now before he's fully booked and very popular. Another favorite would be maybe Samdi. I think he's the current NSW champion, but he is on the IWF roster. Like they do shows sometimes with talent from IWF. He's a like, well, I wouldn't say high flyer, but he's like a cruiserweight, and he is very like innovative, I could say, in the ring. His finisher is really great. Also, it's like a standing moonsault into a double knee drop, and he's very like also charismatic. Definitely a wrestler to look out for. I could go on forever, but this from IWF Russia, this would be maybe the top 3 with honorary mention to Tim that you've already mentioned today, the token American.
I love that. I just love it. I love it. I love it because it's like I always wonder that I'm like we've had these like borderline offensive gimmicks to other countries.
Yeah.
Did any of them ever take the piss out of us? And it's nice to see one taking the piss out of us.
And it's time for revenge. No, and he's like impeccable on the mic. He's one of the like best wrestlers on the mic that they've like ever seen out of all promotions. And he's like, whenever he is like, it doesn't matter whether he's like a heel or a face or like what kind of storyline he's having. He's like so like emerged into it. It's just beautiful to watch. And talking about the women's division, of course, Casey, again, that you've already mentioned today, she's one of the like veterans of IWF Russia, one of, again, the most like loved wrestlers, and when she was champion too. Another one would be, she just moved from NSW to IWF Russia just recently, and she, I think she's the current women's champion actually for IWF Russia. I might be wrong here, but yeah, I think she is. Her name is Elita. I know you've seen her as well.
Yeah, I have.
And she's so athletic, and she's so fast in the ring, and she's had matches with guys more than any other girl on the roster. She's had a match, a hardcore match against Locomotive, and it was just something else. She's just, I would say she's the most technically skilled woman in Russia.
It's like, by the way, is Locomotive the one who's responsible for bringing out the keyboard to prominence out there?
I don't know actually. I know that it's been done like throughout the whole entire history of IWF, and that it was like something that they came up with that was unique to them because they've never seen anything like that done anywhere else, and now it's kind of like the like, you know, the trademark trademark weapon of IWF Russia, but I don't know who like personally came up with the idea.
Gotcha. And the way you talk about NSW and IWF, like how far apart are St. Petersburg and Moscow? Because it again, I don't know if Americans grasp the scale of Russia, but at the same time, a lot of that is empty space. So I didn't know if like there's a reason like the roster seems so separate. Like if it's a
you know, they're not like too far from each other. It's not like cross country or anything. It's like if you take like the fastest train, it would be like a couple of hours.
Okay, taking the fastest train is a couple hours. So that's kind of probably why nobody wants to spend the time traveling.
Yeah, usually like when talent from NSW comes here, it's like for a big show, or it's like if they I don't know, have other stuff to do here, so they just come here to perform as well. It's not like a commute that you would be doing every week. Like no, like that would be too hard and too long and too expensive. So
let's talk a little about your channel now, because again, you've been putting out some stuff. You've been also putting out some stuff that you filmed a year ago and are just now getting to.
Yeah.
Hey, don't feel bad. I've got some stuff that's like I've got some stuff that hopefully sees the light of day, but it's been 2 years, so who knows? So I'm not judging you for it.
All like if you're a content creator, you have stuff like that that's kind of like somewhere on your computer, and there are very important reasons that you yourself don't even know that you're not putting it out for like a year and a half. So yeah.
Yeah, but what do you want to? Is there anything else you want to do with your channel? Because again, right now you cover a lot. Like you cover wrestling. Like
Yeah.
that's what you do. Is there anything you've thought of maybe expanding into? Anything else you want to do? Because Xenia did that. The Xenia doing that doesn't have to always be wrestling. That can be cooking. That can be some makeup. That can be photography. Who knows? That can be some hookah.
Yeah, but I've done, and I do plan on doing several videos that don't have to do with wrestling, because as people know who have been following me on different social media, I love a lot of things, and most of them aren't wrestling. I love makeup, I love fashion, I love cooking, I love all kinds of things. But I feel like there's nothing that compares for me to the rush that I feel when I film wrestling related stuff. Like, it's just something that gets me going. It's just something that I'm drawn to. And while I do feel like I might be expanding the profile of my channel in the nearest future, it's kind of hard to do. I know I have about 3,000 subscribers, just under 3,000 subscribers. And I know it's not a lot, but it's still a certain pool of people who know me, who know my content, who like it, who expect certain things of me. And I feel like every time that I post something not wrestling related, I get a little discouraged by the reaction. And that's why it's kind of hard for me to kind of push through it and seek new audiences instead of just trying to please exclusively the small audience that I have right now. But yeah, totally, like, I am willing to expand, and I think I will.
Oh, well, that's awesome. And, you know, Xenia, I've taken a lot of your time. We've been here for about an hour, and honestly, I could talk to you for several more hours, but you know what?
Yeah, same. I haven't even felt it fly by. Like, it went so fast.
No, it's been wonderful, but, you know, I want you to be able to get on with your day, enjoy your night. Longingly wish that a hookah shop was open.
You can't even imagine. Like, every day I bug my boyfriend, like, oh, I wish we had hookah here.
It's like, once we stop broadcasting, let's talk some more about that. But you know what? Let's tell everybody where they can find you. By the way, look above her head. Sorry, pointing the wrong way. Look above her head. That is how you find her YouTube. That is how you find her Twitter. That is how you find her Instagram. And if you're already here, please hit that subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 because I want to be able to do some great live mobile broadcasts, and I can't do that till I hit 1,000. Plus, there's other things I want to do with it that I need to hit the next milestone because YouTube changed their algorithms.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get to 3,000, and today there's going to be an official announcement, but it's a bit of a teaser for your subscribers, for your followers. I'm going to be doing a giveaway with some really great wrestling goodies, including, of course, wrestling figures, and I will be dropping the giveaway, pulling the trigger, and announcing the winner once I reach 3,000 across 3 platforms. Once I have 3,000 on Twitter, 3,000 on YouTube, and 3,000 on Instagram. So today I'll be announcing that on Twitter. And
how the hell do you not have 3,000 on Instagram? That's
I have no idea. I put so much effort into my Instagram, and for some reason, I have the least amount of followers there.
Again, I am legitimately confused by that. Yeah. Also, go find her on Instagram. Believe me, it's quality content. Scroll very far down. There's a picture in a black dress. That black dress is amazing.
I think I'm just too annoying on my Insta stories because I cook things and I bake stuff, and people just get jealous that they can't eat it and they unfollow me. So.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, Prince Gmo does say this pod was helpful as fuck, for real. I finally have some Russian wrestling to go give a look at. Thanks, y'all. Yeah, dude,
yes, please do.
Go look at. And Xenia, go plug your stuff real quick.
Yeah, so you guys can, as I said, subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to 3,000. There's a lot of fun stuff there, interviews with wrestlers, think pieces, unboxings, everything that you've ever wanted. Also check out my Instagram. I post a lot of stuff there. And if you do, you will be able to enter a giveaway and get some cool stuff. And it's going to be international. So let's all just wait for this glorious moment when I hit 3,000 everywhere, and then I can give out some gifts for you guys. And of course, continue making content for every one of you. And my videos, as of now, release on Wednesdays. So there's going to be a video tomorrow. So check it out.
All right, thank you, Xenia. It's always so wonderful to have you. One of my favorite people in the world. I can't wait.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, of course. I can't wait to come to Russia at some point and and piss some people off before leaving very quickly.
Before running away from Russian police.
Yeah, it's like for some reason I feel like I'd stand out in Russia. I have no idea why. I don't know. I think I would stick out a bit, but yeah. Again, guys, thank you very much. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to Xenia's channel. Follow her stuff. By the way, you see if you're looking right above Xenia's chest, right next to Pride, there's a little pin there. I am dropping those probably today around noonish for pre-order. I finally have a new set, so that's the regular rainbow one. I have them in several varieties. If you look at the post I put up a little later, you'll be able to see. But yeah, those are coming soon. Again, thank you for wearing that too. And everybody, it's been wonderful having you. До свидания.